So when I Googled her, I saw some live stuff and I was convinced immediately. She was like really cheeky, you know, and really charming. And she was really very intense.
He contacted me on Facebook asking me to be a part of his project. And of course, it's just mind-blowing and such an honor that a legendary guy like he is wants me to be a part of his project. He's a genius.
So in her own band, The Charm, the Fury, she used to mostly growl. But in my studio, I found out that she's an excellent singer as well. But of course, I also had her growl a little.
Nee, kan je langer.
Oh god. Okay.
Universal migration!
I know you want her, but you don't trust her, don't you? And wealth is all which she craves.
I first heard Paul, must have been about 10 years ago. He still is singing in the band Arena. We met a few years ago. It was at the Prague Awards ceremony. And back then, you know, we made a lot of photos together. We drank some champagne together. And we decided we have to work together one fine day. And finally, for this project, I was looking for singers with charisma who could also act. And he just fit the bill perfectly. He has a lot of power in his voice, beautiful vibrato. It's very theatrical, and it's exactly the kind of voice I like.
Do you see them? Do you hear them? They're talking about you. I believe them. I agree with them. You will bring our great house down. You will bring our great house down. You're the talk of the town. I know you want her, but don't you trust her? Our wealth is all she craves. Can't you see it now? Can't you feel it how she'll drag our good name down? She will drag our good name down. She's the talk of the town.
So this time I had the perfect part for him. He could play the evil brother. Although, you know, he is so not evil. He's such a nice guy.
Are you rolling? Then you know.
I didn't expect that, eh?
Hang on.
Carlsberg, probably the best lager in the world. Brewed by the Danes since 1827.
Even kijken hoor, zou ik er vlak voor gaan staan?
Ja. You think they were crazy.
Komt-ie.
You think they were crazy. I'd almost say stupid, but they can be amazing. Although they don't look it. Yes, they can be charming, uniquely disarming, naive but enchanting. On a good day, they're gracious, well-mannered, endearing, yes, dare I say, nice.
I've worked with Simone many times before, and I hope to keep on working with her as long as I can, and of course as long as she wants to work with me.
I made it!
This time I carefully asked her, because I had this weird part for her. I said, Simone, would you be interested to sing and act as the sexy angel of death? And she said, yeah, sure. Why not? You know, she didn't hesitate for a minute.
You just film and I'll walk to you as if I'm Victoria's Secret Agent, just as a fun. This human equation, success and frustration, moral stagnation, evolve the creation.
I really love her warm voice, and I really love the way she pronounces the words, you know, and her singing is amazing. So yeah, win-win situation.
Hey there, it's me, Patty Gertie. Now this is my very first time appearing on an Ayreon album, which is very exciting for me. Thank you, Ayreon. And for those of you that wonder, what kind of weird electric guitar was I just hearing? Let me tell you, it was not an electric guitar, it was an electroacoustic hurdy-gurdy.
Patty contacted me about 4 years ago, I think it was. I think it was on Facebook. And she said she really enjoyed my music and she offered to play some hurdy-gurdy for me.
Now, one might wonder, what kind of disease is a hurdy-gurdy? It is actually an instrument that has its roots in the medieval times, and it looks somewhat like this. And then you can like crank it here. If you want more details, I invite you to just look at it on my YouTube because it's all about hurdy-gurdies.
So I checked her out on YouTube and she's amazing. And I watched a few of her films and it's got like millions of views. I think one has 10 millions of views. You know, I'm really jealous, you know, I got a couple of hundred of views. Anyway, I found a couple of perfect spots on this new album for her. Sent them to her, she loved it. She recorded her hurdy-gurdy in her own studio, and she did a perfect job. So I think it's a real enrichment to the album. Joost suggested I'd work with Ayreon for the very complicated cello parts because he had some really good experience with Ayreon. And as always, Joost was absolutely right, you know. Told you he was annoying. So yeah, Ayreon, he plays so tight and he plays so energetic and totally in tune, which is hard, you know, with the cello. And in fact, he did so well that I invited him to play in the Electric Castle live shows as well. And he's a great guy, great to work with, and even a very cool show on stage.
Yeah? Yeah? Cool. Yeah.
For this project, I wanted to work with a real horn, because I never did that before. In the past it was always synthesizers or it was samples. Because you know, a horn sounds so majestic and so cinematic, and it's exactly what this story needs, what this album needs. So I asked Joost and he recommended Alex, and he definitely did not disappoint. So expect to hear him on my future projects. A lot.
Zit erop. High five.
Yes, I know what you're thinking. An Ayreon album without Ed Warby, you know, it's a sin. And really, when I started working on this album, I had no idea that it would end up to be an Ayreon album. All I knew is that I wanted to do something entirely different. So when I was looking for a drummer, I thought I need a very different drummer. And I have to say, you know, Ed totally understood this. I especially called him about it. He said, of course, man, I understand. And he even helped me look for another drummer. I worked with Juan, or Juanito, as I call him. I think it was 35 years ago. I'm that old.
I know Ayreon from, what is it, 1985. He played in a very famous hard rock band, and I was some kind of session drummer, and I played in various bands.
I always loved his fluent, almost funky style of drumming.
And one day he phoned me to ask if he could hire me to play on his demo tracks. He had 2 songs he wanted to play, and one of them he wanted me to play the drums, which I did. Of course, I lost track of Ayreon because, you know, our path went into different ways of this planet.
Well, Juan and me got in contact again. I think it was about some old demo. When I looked him up on YouTube, and I was like curious, what is he doing nowadays? And I saw some of his drum videos, and he got even better, you know, than in the old days. So I asked him if he wanted to be part of this. He said, yeah, sure, man, you know, let's do this.
So I was pleased when he asked me to play the drums on his album. And also I was very pleased with the way he wanted to work, because he wanted to start with the drums. I mean, he had his concept of the song, all kind of demos, and worked out with some singers, so I could hear the music and understand what the music was about. But the drum tracks, you know, he had some ideas, but he didn't record them, actually.
Happy?
Luisteren?
Yeah?
We worked together very closely in Juan's own studio.
He came to my place, and this is my place, this is my studio where I record drums for, you know, many colleague musician artists, and we worked here on the tracks. Basically, Ayreon came in, he had some kind of an idea what he wanted for a certain track, and then we had to work on it. That was really cool, because he actually opened up possibilities for me to be creative and come up with ideas.
And it was really a very creative couple of days. and we really laid the foundation of the songs together.
Ayreon wanted to record all the tracks in a proper studio, a big studio, the Sandlane recording studio, but just spending only 2 days for that, and there was quite a few tracks we had to play. So my goal was, get all my skills up as the session player, drummer that I am, and make sure that in the 2 days nail all the tracks. And what I did, actually, I had to write it all down. I made my own lead sheets, so to speak, just to make sure that when things were really cool, I had to remember them, and not only by listening back to the tracks, but also to know. And for me personally, that works best if I write it down. If you want to film this, you have to film the interesting part. Because, no, the people at home might think, what the f he's doing nothing. Yeah, this is more intelligent. What really pays off right now is, while they're doing some editing for the preview of the previous recording session, the previous song, I can study now the next song and be prepared for the next song. So it saves a lot of time, and it gives me more pleasure to play in the studio. Because normally when I get asked to play in the studio, it's, the preparations are not there, and okay, I can do it, but it doesn't give me that comfortable feeling of making music while we're here on the kit. So I'm really happy with this. Now I should be studying, actually. Bye.
Wel even... Ja, precies. Komt u maar!
Yeah, you must know some albums that I play on. They disappear in my CD wallet and they never come out again. I've been listening to this album quite a few times now, and I'm totally impressed. This is one of the albums that I'm definitely going to play proudly to my family, to my friends. Hey man, listen, I'm playing on this album. It's a lifetime work. It's fantastic. Happy.
For this album, I wanted to capture that ominous feel from my favorite film music of The Omen, the Ave Satani parts. Satani. So I really needed a real choir for this one. Luckily, at that point, I came in contact with Noah Grumman from Israel, and she has this choir called the Hell Score Choir, which is quite a promising name. So I asked her, and she conducted this choir, and she did a perfect job. It's totally epic and very impressive. of course, I will involve Joost or no, you know, in whatever I will do musically. Like I always say, this guy can do everything. He's really annoying, actually. So this time he played piano on a really old, authentic Steinway piano. He did some jazzy stuff on a real Fender Rhodes piano. And he did some mean Hammond, of course. And even though, you know, we